everyone, Esther Klein here from the Klein Report. I'm very excited today. We are interviewing Tom, who is the CEO of a company called Logic, and we're going to hear a little bit about the company. We're also going to hear about why we should maybe look into investing in the stock. We're going to get straight to it because, we have a special host here who has an abundance of information. So first of all, Tom, thank you so much for joining me on my channel. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think it's important for the audience to kind of hear a little bit more about Logic. And if you could just tell us more about this company, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, sounds good. So Logic, we're a publicly traded company. We're in the e-commerce technology market. And for us, our vision is to simplify e-commerce. Now I'll go into that in more detail. So as a global company, we operate in two primary regions in North America. And the origin of the company is from in Southeast Asia. And so I'll touch on why we're in those markets and what we do there. So starting with Southeast Asia, so that's an emerging market, right? Most of the population is on mobile and most of the stores are not online. And so it's a very interesting and fast growing economy there, especially in e-commerce. And so we provide a do-it-yourself application to enable micro businesses to build an app to be able to launch it into the Google Play or the App Store. So that gets them online. It's kind of like the Shopify of mobile, right, in that area. Now, once you're online, you got to be able to find customers. You got to have them pay for your stuff and deliver your stuff. And in Indonesia, especially in very dense populated cities, we offer a hyper-local pedestrian delivery service for groceries and food. And we also enable mobile currency exchange. And so we're trying to get that market to become more online, more transactions on the phone, especially around cashless transactions. And so that's a continued growing part of our business.
Where does Logic see themselves in this narrative of such a fast growing world?
Primarily within North America, the problem isn't getting your store online, right? Things like Shopify and Wix and WooCommerce is enabled really with some bit of skills to be able to take your store online. And so there's, millions and millions of online stores today where it wasn't, a few years ago. But then what's the next challenge? Finding consumers online to come to your store and buy your product or service, right? And so that continues to be a challenge, especially among small to medium-sized businesses, right? Remember in the old days where, when a Walmart would come to your neighborhood, and there's be big protests, and they're going to decimate all the small businesses. And some of the answers, well, that's okay because these small businesses could go online and they can flourish there. Well, that is not happening at all. There's a huge, problem especially in the U.S. market today, where what we're seeing is the top 10 e-commerce brands, these mega brands, they contribute about 64% of online sales in the U.S. Right? So as a healthy marketplace, that is not when it's dominated by the big guys. So it literally is an industry of have and have nots. And so what's left is 500,000 businesses, small and medium size, that's trying to do online marketing, but their return on investment, their actual profitability of running a digital campaign is hampered a lot because of the competitive nature and the lack of sophisticated tools. And so that's the problem we saw in the US e-commerce, really North America as a whole. And that's why we launched Logic Digital Marketing to be able to fill that gap in the marketplace.
For our audience, tell us, why do you think, we should invest in your stock versus, other e-commerce stocks out there? What's makes you you?
Yeah, what makes us us? So, there's some of the fundamentals of a company that I think even at the highest level, it's good to understand. And I think these are pretty obvious things. For example, if you look at a company from one quarter to the next, is their gross revenue, right, going up and to the right? It should be. If it isn't, there should be very specific reasons why that makes sense, right? And then margins. For every dollar a company makes, how many percentage of that dollar do they get to keep and invest back into the company? Right? And those are two critical factors. And if you look at us quarter after quarter, year after year, our revenues are up and to the right, and our margins continue to go up and to the right. Fantastic. And so we're starting to run a very healthy business. And we have a team of wonderful executives who've been there, done that, who grew up in this industry as I have.
Right.
And I've also added a few key board members as well to really help and guide us along the way. I think that's one. Fundamentals is strong. Second is the valuations. Now, there's a thing called trading multiples, right? So it basically says, here's the company's stock price. Here's their overall enterprise value. If you look at those two things, how is it trading? And so there's like a multiplier. So some of the best companies in our space, for example, is the Trade Desk. I don't think anyone has heard of them unless you're in ad tech, but they cater to the big guys and the big agencies. Mm-hmm. And they're one of the darlings of ad tech. And so they trade at a 25x multiple. Logic trades at 2x multiple. And what that means is for investors is we are very undervalued today. And that will change as we continue to grow.
Right.
Now, even companies our size with less revenue are trading at around 12 to 13x.
Wow.
With less revenue, right? So that tells you that we are an up and coming company, and we're doing these things so that people know us more. So that's sort of secondary. And the third piece is our road to a tier 1 exchange in the United States. So we started as an OTC company. Now we're in the OTCQX, which is the highest part of the OTC. It's still pretty volatile, but those companies in that group actually have a real business. They have real revenue. It's not as crazy as the regular OTC companies.
Right.
Now, for us to be able to trade at an international level, we wanted to do an IPO on the NEO exchange in Canada, and we were able to do that. And doing an IPO is really hard. It takes a lot of money, and the diligence into the company and our financials and our business model and our strategy, it's crazy. And so the fact that we got listed, I think your investors can have confidence that we're real. We're a legitimate growing company.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Tom, for joining us today here at the Klein Report. I think everyone really had a chance to learn about Logic and maybe why they want to potentially invest in your company, and that is it for us. And I'm excited to see what happens. And as I like to say, stay fine with Esther Klein. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.